Donald Trump's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent got cross-examined during a congressional hearing, and he folded under the pressure from the Democrats who were cross-examining him. Let me show you what went down as Bessent got pinned down. He was stuttering. He didn't know what to say. He looked nervous. He committed perjury, in my opinion. Then he was called out for committing perjury. I want you to watch Secretary Bessent squeal, and he deserved this. This was instant karma. First, I want to show you Democratic Congress member Caston cross-examining Scott Bessent. Let's play this clip right here.
Sir, I want to read you a quote. Trump will pursue a weak dollar policy rather than implementing tariffs. Tariffs are inflationary and would strengthen the dollar. Do you recognize that quote?
I believe you're referring to a letter that I wrote, and
yes.
Tariffs could be inflationary.
No, it says tariffs are inflationary.
Yep. You know what?
You had said to the chairwoman, I'd like to introduce into the record a January 31, 2024 letter from, quote, Scott Bessent and the Key Square team to your partners, where that quote comes from.
Without objection.
Do you want to correct what you said to the ranking member when you specifically said that you did not say tariffs are inflationary?
Well, I think she referenced a letter in the summer of something, not that particular.
No, I think you disparaged the New York Times.
Sorry?
You said tariffs are inflationary.
Sorry?
You said tariffs are inflationary.
Tariffs.
Do you want to correct what you said to the ranking member, or did you lie?
If I was mistaken, I want to correct it. And I was also mistaken when I said that tariffs could be inflationary, because
Gentleman's time has expired.
I've seen inflation drop to 2.1%.
Gentleman's time has expired. Chair now recognizes the gentleman from South.
Then you had Democratic Congress member Jim Himes cross-examining. Let's play it.
APR.
When you were asked a similar series of questions, you gave a similarly careful answer, but you said that there were bad actors in the, I think you said you were referring to credit card companies. Who are those bad actors?
I'm not going to name them.
So you'll tell us that they exist, but you won't tell the Congress who they are so that we might undertake some oversight.
I think you have very large investigative committees.
Okay.
One of my favorite parts of this hearing was seeing Democratic Congresswoman Beatty cross-examining Bessent. Let's play this clip.
Now, my question to you, are there plans to place to release monies to CDFIs so they can continue to finance affordable housing projects? That's a yes or no. If yes, when? If no, why not?
Treasury has been working to implement the CDFI funds programs as required by law. Upon apportionment of appropriated funds, Treasury will be
Is this going to be a yes or no?
Program awards.
Mr. Secretary, no. I'm going to abide by the chairman's rules, but I have some rules. You can say yes or no, and then if you say yes, you may continue to give that support. If it's a no, then you tell me why not. And now we need to be clear. Yes, let's start with the yes or no. I'm trying to be respectful, but you're not going to do what you want to do on my time. Yes or no, or you can say I'm not going to answer it. Now move on.
Number 3.
Okay, so let the record show that he refuses to answer a question. No, we're not going to do that with me. We are not going to do that with me.
It's the gentlewoman's time from Ohio.
Now, you opted for number 3, so you get to hear my wrath that you refuse to answer a question under your authority and what this administration, and yet you've talked about the value of housing and you're not releasing the funds. And I want the record to be clear on that. So let me move on.
Then you had Democratic Congresswoman Presley asking some great questions. Let's play this clip.
Why baby products that are required by law are not exempt from Trump's tariffs?
Again, Congresswoman, it is a matrix, and many of these products, unfortunately, are made in China. And
Secretary, reclaiming my time.
It's
an unacceptable answer. You've had 9 months. You told me it was under consideration. You've had 9 months to think about it. And while you've been thinking about it, working families have been struggling. When it is required by law that they have many of these essential baby costs, your report from the Department of Treasury refers to them, car seats, as essential safety tools. So if you can acknowledge that, this is...
I will acknowledge the gas to run the car.
Well, listen.
Is at a 5-year low.
You've included asbestos in your exemptions. So you're telling me you can do asbestos and not baby products? It's my time.
I think you would want
Mr.
children to be safe in their homes.
Mr. Secretary, parents with newborns don't want to hear your excuses. They need to keep their babies safe. They want to comply with the law, and they need action to lower costs, period. So will you exempt baby products from tariffs, yes or no?
Again, we will
yes
look
or
into
no?
it. We will look at
Mr. Secretary, respectfully.
Congresswoman,
yes
I do
or
not.
no?
I am the Treasury Secretary. I am not the USTR.
Reclaiming my time.
I am not the President of the United States.
Reclaiming my time.
So you're asking the wrong person.
I'll take a commitment. Mr. Secretary, you are taking my time. Reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary.
This is Financial Stability Oversight Council.
Mr. Secretary, then I ask for your advocacy then. Because a no or a non-answer is unacceptable to the working families you claim to care so much about. Moving on.
I'm agreeing with you. You will have my advocacy.
Okay, thank you.
I thought this entire exchange right here between Democratic Congressmember Sean Casten and Bessent was perfect. As our editor-in-chief Ron Filipkowski writes, if you finally want to watch Scott Bessent get pinned down on specifics about the illegal money laundering operation being conducted by the Trump regime from someone who knows WTF, what the F he's talking about, this clip is your chance. Bessent gets destroyed. Watch this entire clip. Let's play it.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Bessent. Appreciate your patience with us. Since the U.S. captured President Maduro, the Trump administration has been selling Venezuelan oil. Secretary Wright has said that's going to continue indefinitely. The president's January 9th executive order said that those funds are the sovereign property of Venezuela, but has directed you, the Treasury Secretary, to hold those assets in custody to facilitate disbursements transfers as directed by the Secretary of State. As I've gone through the 91 specific trusts that you have the statutory authority to oversee, none of those have any relationship to Venezuelan oil. So can you help us understand under what statutory authority is Treasury relying on to exercise the discretionary control over natural resources and sovereign assets of another country?
Treasury has no control over the...
I'm just asking about what statutory authority you rely on.
Again, we are operating under an agreement between state and energy that we are not involved.
No, the executive order said that the Treasury Secretary is holding those assets in custody. That's a specific language there, and is facilitating disbursements. Under what authority are you acting?
I will get back to you with the exact authority, but it is under agreement with state.
Let me just clarify, because my concern is that the executive order cites IEPA. IEPA specifically says that you have to be engaged in hostilities with a country for IEPA to trigger that claim. Secretary Rubio said that we are not at war with Venezuela. I would agree. I'm glad we're not at war. So unless you disagree with Secretary Rubio, I'm unclear under what legal authority the United States has to control or disperse those assets.
Well, I would believe that the IEPA authority would act for a period of time for a
not unless we're not that's a
transition.
Well, look, that's not true. But please provide in writing what you're doing there, because I want to get to why I think that's material. Last week, Secretary Rubio also said that the $200 million in proceeds was sitting in a Qatari bank that was owned by Venezuela. He went on to say the Treasury has a written agreement with Venezuela's interim government to review the monthly budget request for payments from that account. I come back to where the authority comes. What statutory authority are you using to exercise custody indirectly through a third country and direct the release of funds from those offshore accounts?
Yeah, IEPA.
That's not in IEPA. You're managing, okay, so if you're managing a third country, not in IEPA, and please do provide us with the legal guidance, because this matters. What controls are you putting to audit those flows? Because as you know, the Venezuelan government still has a lot of shady people. How are you controlling the dispersion of those flows so that they don't go back to some of the shady characters that the president is concerned about in Venezuela? What is the audit process?
Again, we will be bringing in outside auditors for this, and the Venezuelan government will be producing.
Do you have an agreement in place right now for those auditors?
Sorry?
Do you have an agreement for that audit in place right now?
Not at present.
Okay, because Secretary Rubio, when he was asked that question before the Senate, he said that the Treasury had handled the agreement that he would be providing to the Senate committee. Are you saying that Secretary Rubio was incorrect, or that you're not aware of the agreement that Treasury directed according to Secretary Rubio?
I'm saying I'm not aware of the agreement.
Okay, so Secretary Rubio said he would provide that to the Senate committee. Can you please coordinate with Secretary Rubio and give us your word to provide us what Secretary Rubio is providing? Because he is alleging that that was done under your
with pleasure, Congressman. And just so you know, the goal here, it's been 30 days.
I want to just reclaim my time because the concern I have is that this would be considered a fraudulent conveyance. I have a specific concern that we've entered into contracts with companies like Vitol, who have pled guilty to bribery and all sorts of nefarious actors. If I was a company buying stolen goods and we didn't have statutory authority, I'm going to have a lot of creditors coming after me.
Then you have Democratic Congressmember Moskowitz. Let's play this clip.
So I don't understand what the problem is. I don't get it. For years, you fired people. It was strength. Now you think that's weakness. I mean, if we can't get Apprentice Trump, can we at least get like Home Alone 2 Trump? Can he at least like show her the lobby and out the door? She's coming here in a month, okay? It's not going to be a good hearing for her. It's going to be a disaster. You all are going to have to defend her, which you're not willing to do on TV. This will be very televised. I mean, why did the president not let her speak in the cabinet meeting? Why didn't she get to talk? Right? Why is Tom Homan now running the department? Why is Roger Stone taking shots at her? It's time for her to be fired. She is the weakest link of his team, and it's enough. And again, I got plenty of material, as you see, Mr. President, to remind you how to do it. Just go back, go on your reruns, go find some old episodes for some inspiration. I yield back.
Next, you have Congressmember Torres, I think, doing some good cross-exam right here.
So one of the stated policy objectives—
And we'll keep score.
Yeah.
Okay?
One of the stated policy objectives of the Trump tariffs is to bring back domestic production. Does the Trump administration regret imposing tariffs on goods that cannot be produced domestically at scale in the United States? Do you realize in hindsight that that was foolish?
Do you realize that we use the leverage to bring down tariffs from other countries to take down non-tariff tariffs?
Tariffs on bananas gave you leverage?
Yes, with Colombia, with Brazil. Okay. I think, Congressman, you're being very naive with negotiating.
I mean, we were promised reindustrialization. A tariff on bananas did not lead to domestic banana production. It simply made bananas more expensive for American businesses and consumers. The same is true of coffee.
Countries negotiating in a more fulsome manner.
Are you willing to commit to no longer imposing tariffs on any product that has neither a domestic substitute nor a national security rationale?
That would be the definition of foolish in a negotiation.
So you're not willing. You're willing to impose tariffs that make more expensive goods that we cannot domestically produce here in the United States,
again,
and that have no national. What is the national security nexus of bananas and coffee?
Again, why would you do that? There are numerous things when you negotiate with Indonesia. There are things that are only made in Indonesia, but the Indonesians brought down their tariff barriers or non-tariff barriers.
I get it. We have to make bananas great again. I get it. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Yep.
The gentleman from New York, Mr. Garber.
More from Congressmember Torres. Let's play it.
Let me reclaim my time. The Wall Street Journal, which is hardly a leftist publication, published an article with the following headline, quote, "Trump claims factory construction is up, contradicting U.S. data." The article then goes on to note, quote, "President Trump claimed that the U.S. factory construction is up by 41%, a number that doesn't appear to be supported by the government's own data." One of the stated policy objectives of the Trump tariffs is to bring back manufacturing jobs. Yet since the so-called Liberation Day tariffs of April 2025, we've seen the net loss of manufacturing jobs. Do you know how many net manufacturing jobs have been lost since April 2025 under your watch?
Well, a couple of things. Manufacturing operates with very long leads.
What's the number? Is there a number?
I believe it's about 67,000.
70,000.
Yes.
70,000 jobs lost.
So, but again,
despite the stated objectives, let me proceed. I'm going to reclaim my time.
Flip the switch.
I'm going to reclaim my time. Let me reclaim my time.
Then you have Democratic Congressmember Foster cross-examining Treasury Secretary Bessent.
Interesting fact that every time you put a Republican in charge of in the presidency, that two things have happened: that the dollar has gotten weaker and that manufacturing employment has dropped. And this has happened just during every Republican president in our lifetime, and the reverse has happened every Democratic president. The dollar has strengthened, actually achieved your objective instead of just talking about it. And since the time of that, actually, I think this plot here was the one we had then when the dollar was only 8%. I think it's down about 10.5% now. So you're continuing down the traditional.
I'm sorry, which index are you using
DXY.
for the dollar?
I think it's DXY year on year.
Yeah,
and I think it's the last time I looked at it, it was roughly down 10.5%.
And you have the president on there, but under President Clinton, it would be.
I'm not talking.
It would be my belief that it was Speaker Gingrich and what he did.
I'm just talking about the president who has control.
Working with the Clinton administration
I understand.
It's Dr. Foster's time.
Yeah. But you agree it is a historic fact that during those presidencies, manufacturing employment dropped and the dollar got weaker during Republicans without exception.
Yeah, I haven't seen the data, so I can't.
I presented it to you on a graph. It's my understanding, actually, that later on in that hearing, after I left to attend a different hearing, that you said some rather negative things about the data, and that as a finance professor, that you would have, I think, given it an F, was, I believe, your word. And so that, all right, so now I'm not a finance professor, I'm a manufacturer, okay? But I understand that the first rule as a manufacturer is you don't piss off your customers, which seems to be something that your administration just revels in doing, internationally especially. And so I think that it's easy for me to understand why manufacturing employment has continued to drop. That ever since Liberation Day, we have seen a continuous decline in manufacturing employment, which was one of your number one promises.
Congressman, as a manufacturer, you would know that I can't snap my fingers and create factories. So there is a building process that is well underway. I could send you the chart on the factory groundbreaking.
I understand. And the fact that we have been historically a low tariff nation is, I believe, responsible for the really extraordinary economic growth over the last decade of the United States compared to, say, the EU, which was a high tariff regime. And now we are joining the EU.
I believe that we've exported jobs to China. So you were touching on a lot of CCP talking points.
I think.
Next, you have Democratic Congresswoman Garcia. Let's play this one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Secretary, earlier in response to someone else's question, you talked a little bit there toward the end, but I'm not sure that there was a time for follow-up about, I think you said 10 to 20 million immigrants that are responsible for the driving up the housing costs. Is that what you said?
I'm referring to a Wharton report. Yes.
Do you know what they based it on? What data, what information they looked at?
Yes, the survey by survey, community by community. You could go, if you'd like, we'll have my people post it on the Treasury X account as we speak.
Well, thanks for the cooperation, because I'm just completely baffled. The average new home sale is about $500,000, and you're saying that it's driving up the housing crisis when DHS is over there trying to pick up and deport people because, quote unquote, they're a drain on society. They're dependent on public benefits. So if you're on public benefits, how do you afford a $500,000 house?
Well, let me clarify your confusion, because
I'm not confused, sir. Don't be demeaning to me, all right? Because I'm going to object and ask the chairman to make you answer questions.
Anyway, I'm trying to explain to you that it is rental income and rental properties.
Do you really think that people have you been to the rental places of immigrants? I have people in my district that are in rental houses that I wouldn't rent to anybody. They're not expensive. They're probably $500 or $600 a month. You think people that can barely afford housing like that's the housing that we're talking about when we talk about the housing crisis?
D properties push up the price of C properties. Inflation in C properties pushes up the price of A properties. Inflation in the price of A properties. B properties pushes up A properties. So it moves up the stack. And if you think that somehow the laws of supply and demand do not apply to housing, I would say you're incorrect.
No, well, I'm not incorrect because, the only thing that we might say about immigrants is that we don't have new housing because they can't, there's a shortage of labor supply because they build the houses and you all are more focused on deporting them than having them stay here and build.
Back to Torres for a second, play this clip.
Mr. Secretary, does the president have the constitutional authority to remove the chair of the Federal Reserve or a member of the Board of Governors solely because of a policy disagreement?
I'm not a lawyer, and I don't have an opinion.
You have no opinion on whether the president can remove a board member at will?
Well, I believe that the board member has committed.
No, just in general. I'm not asking about a particular case. I'm asking.
Or malfeasance.
I'm asking about the president's general authority. Let me ask it differently. Do you believe that the unitary executive theory applies to the Federal Reserve?
Again, I think we'll have to wait and see what the Supreme Court says.
What is your opinion?
I'm not a lawyer.
What is the administration's opinion?
There are varying opinions in the administration.
What's the prevailing opinion? The official opinion?
Again, we'll have to see.
Do you consider the Federal Reserve an executive agency or a legislative agency?
I consider it an independent agency.
So neither executive nor legislative?
So we'll see.
Therefore, independent of presidential control. So it sounds like you do have an opinion.
Again, we will see. We will see, Congressman.
Okay, thank you for establishing the independence of the Federal Reserve.
I do believe that the Federal Reserve has to maintain credibility and be like Caesar's wife, beyond reproach.
And undermining the independence of the Federal Reserve is a threat to that credibility. So I know you're no fan of the New York Times, but let me reclaim my time. The Wall Street Journal.
Then you have Democratic Congresswoman Garcia. Again, let's play it.
Do you have any idea how much we're spending on ICE every single day for enforcement?
Again, the representative, this is the Financial Stability Oversight Commission.
But you're the treasurer. You're the treasurer. You're supposed to follow the money. In response to questions on this side, you're always talking about, well, we follow the money. Well, have you followed the money? How much are they spending every single day in Minnesota and other states where they occupy cities, terrorize communities, and try to break up our country?
Again, President Trump has secured the border. He was elected
then let him stay at the border
on a mandate.
Well, I disagree with you, and I think you're
that he was
confused.
elected?
I think you're confused, but let me ask you about something else.
Okay.
Maybe you'll answer this one.
Now, here was a moment where, as I said, it looked like Treasury Secretary Bessent committed perjury right here, where he claimed that he never said that tariffs are inflationary. You heard in the beginning him getting called out for this as well. I mean, we have back in 2024, Bessent saying tariffs are inflationary, and here he says, I never said that. Well, you said that, and now you deserve to be criminally prosecuted for perjury. Watch as he gets cross-examined by Congresswoman Waters. Here, play this clip.
Details about this, but did you write a letter to investors raising concerns about the impact of tariffs, writing that, quote, tariffs are inflationary? Did you say that at that time? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have a New York Times article that, agrees that you said
New York
that.
Times.
Then last summer, when you testified before a Senate committee, you said, and I quote, there is no inflation. Tariffs are not being passed on to consumers. You were quite definitive and even claimed that critics had, quote, tariff derangement syndrome. Well, those comments are at odds with the statement you made to investors that tariffs are inflationary. Again, I want to be clear, so just let me ask you, are tariffs inflationary, yes or no?
According to the San Francisco Federal Reserve, with 150 years of data,
yes or no?
Tariffs do not cause inflation. San Francisco Federal Reserve.
Well, last November, as the Trump administration finally began to realize that affordability issues in America.
Next, I'll show you Bessent getting cross-examined by Democratic Congressmember Green. Let's play this clip.
I ask you kindly, and as one professional to another, Mr. Treasury Secretary, do you think that this should be investigated, the president's stock being linked to his Truth Social message, and that stock having gone up by some $415 million in a single day, and this is a stock that was doing very poorly prior to that, hadn't had a lot of success. Do you think that this should be investigated?
No, sir.
Kindly explain to me why we would not investigate the president making such an announcement as it relates to his stock, and then reaping some $415 million as a potential capital.
Well, all Americans benefited from the rebound in the markets that day. And in fact, the rebound in the market after that was the fastest in market history.
Then, as Rupert says, instead of answering questions from Democratic House members, Bessent starts reading notes to attack the members of Congress. You see how utterly weak and pathetic he looks right here. Let's play it.
To know whether you will commit today to pause and heighten the scrutiny of any bank charter or licensing application at the OCC connected to the World Liberty Financial until all of these conflicts of interest and foreign influence reviews are completed and shared with the United States Congress. All I need to know is, will you halt it and do a complete investigation and scrutiny of this licensing application? All you have to ask is yes or no.
No, Congressman.
All you have to ask
the
is yes or no.
OCC is an independent entity, and I would know, Congressman.
So I take that as a no.
You traveled to Venezuela.
I take that as a no.
On behalf of
I
your
take
donor,
that as a
on
no.
behalf of your
You
donor,
do not want to answer that question. I take that as a no.
For a $7 billion.
I'm asking you to do your responsibility as Secretary of the Treasury.
Into a Venezuelan.
You do not.
Mr. Makes.
Will you?
Time has expired.
You cannot erase what you did.
And then you see Bessent just trying to belittle the people asking him questions right here. You know, when he's saying, "Can you speak up? I can't hear you. I can't hear you." But Bessent is just, you know, he's in my own opinion, Bessent is a thug. Bessent is a liar. Bessent is a fraud. He's pathetic. You see what a weasel he is. I played those clips. You tell me what you think. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks everybody for watching.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.MeidasTouch.com. All 100% USA Union made.